Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Bucket List Mom. My name is Elizabeth and today we're going to be talking about how to survive on the carnivore diet without cheating. So if you guys have been following along at all, I'm doing weekly updates on being on the carnivore diet and losing weight with the carnivore diet and showing you all the ins and outs of what's going on and how it's going and what losing weight looks like, especially when it's a lot of weight to lose. And so I've chosen the carnivore diet, and granted, I am not an expert by any means, but I have been doing this for almost 2 months now. I have noticed some things that are really helping me stick with it and kind of stay with my plan and not cheat. And there's some ways to make it really easy so that if you're doing this for weight loss and you want to stay on this and you have this goal, I think these things will help you. This is by no means an all-inclusive list, so there's going to be lots of other things, but these are my top ones. I'm taking some of this list from myself and some of it from my husband. My husband has been doing this for almost a year now. We've got some tricks up our sleeve that we're going to share with you today. So the first thing that's going to help you not to cheat is know why you're doing the carnivore diet. You know, whenever you're making a life change, you have to have a why. You'll hear people talk about your why all the time. And there really does need to kind of be a why for why you're doing the carnivore diet, and you also really have to have a goal. And they're kind of two different things. So my why is because I want to lose weight, I want to feel younger, I want to feel good, I want to be around for my kids, I want to be able to play with them, I want to do things that I can't do because of my size, and I want to be able to feel young again and not have to worry about the weight, and I want to live a really long time. And so that would be my why. It's pretty obvious, right? It's most people's why, but a goal is something different. So I have said my goal is I want to lose 100 pounds in 6 months. Maybe that's a really ambitious goal. Maybe I won't hit it exactly, but it's my goal. That's what I'm hoping for. If I get close to it or at least get progress along the way towards it, I'm going to be super happy. But you can tell the difference between a why and a goal, and you really have to have both of them clearly defined. That way, when you're having moments of weakness or you're having moments where you don't want to be on this anymore, even though you really do want the outcomes right from it, if you have these things clearly defined, it really does help you keep in mind, okay, I don't want that food more than I want to lose this weight. And when you have that clear in your mind and you have it solidified, it's like you could do anything. And so first, get yourself a why, get yourself a goal, and see if you can meet it. So my second piece of advice is probably the biggest and best thing that you can do, and that is to stay satiated. Meat is very satiating. It's not hard to get full on it. It's not hard to stay full. It's really easy and good. It's not just empty carbs. And so it's very possible to stay full and stay satiated on this. And when you are full, you're not thinking about a bunch of other foods. It's really an easy diet to just eat your food, move on from eating your food when time is over from eating, and go about your day and not think about food. As long as you're paying attention to eating enough and making sure that you're full and feeling that satiation, then it really does cut down on those moments of panic of just wanting to grab something really quick and easy and mess up your plan. And so if you make sure you plan ahead a little bit, stay full, then you shouldn't really have too much trouble. So number 3 kind of goes along with staying satiated, and that is to never one shop when you're hungry, but 2, consider doing like an online pickup order or through an app. So I do the Walmart pickup. It's so easy. It remembers all my stuff, and so it's so easy to just shop and click on stuff if you're going to get the same brands every time. And it's just really super simple, but then I don't have to go walk around the grocery store and torture myself like that. Why would you want to? Why would you go torture yourself like that? It's so easy. And you know, I am like one of the least technological kind of people, and it took forever. It was like a year before I finally gave in and started doing this pickup order. My husband would say, honey, why don't you just do the pickup? And I guess I'm a little stubborn, and I'm just like, no, I've got my systems. I go in, I do all my things, you know, I don't want to change anything up. And so I resisted for the longest time, and it's so lame. I wish I had done this like way sooner. Every store has it, like every grocery store has it. If you're not using the pickup for a store, do consider trying it. It's really going to help. You don't impulse buy then. You just get what you need. It's really easy to grab your assortments of meat in the app, and then it's just delivered back into the back of your trunk. You put it away in your fridge, and it's like you're done. It's so easy, but it really makes a big difference. It just makes you feel still really normal. This is what I bought. This is what I'm going to eat. It's so simple. So my 4th tip of advice is to don't put yourself around tempting foods. Just don't buy them. And this is hard if you live with other people. I have 7 people in my family, and so I have 5 kids, and it is hard. It's hard because they're not doing the carnivore diet. My husband is, but I have to get them normal foods, right? And even things like strawberries, even things that are healthy, are hard for me sometimes. So the things that are really, really hard though, I just don't buy. Today I'm struggling with that my daughter had for one of her Zoom classes. She had to make some Earth Day snacks and ended up with chocolate pudding with crunched up Oreos in it and all the little gummy worms. Pretty much my most favorite cheat things ever. Like, those are one of my hardest things, and I'm sitting at the table today like watching her eat these, and I'm just like, you know what, I have to remove myself. Don't torture yourself. Just don't torture yourself. I don't get those things normally. I let them make them. I stayed out of it. They eat it, it goes away. But I don't just have those foods that are really, really hard for me sitting in the fridge or sitting in the pantry all the time for someone else to eat, or to just sit there and tempt me and mess up my progress. I have made an exception for granola bars. My 4-year-old asked me when I first started this, "Mommy, can we get granola bars this week?" And I was like, oh yeah, that was one of the foods I was planning not to get. Granola bars are hard for me because they're in there, they're carbs, they're fast, and so if I needed like a fast snack and didn't feel like I had time to make a meal, I just grabbed those granola bars, and pretty soon I'm like living off granola bars, like 3 or 4 granola bars a day, and not eating anything else during the day until like dinner. So that's been part of kind of my malfunctioning of eating, and like it's something I'm fixing right now on the carnivore diet, really learning how to fuel my body, and granola bars were hard for me, but I don't want her to be without her granola bars. They're still fairly healthy granola bars, and I don't want her to be without them this whole time I'm going to do this. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make an exception. I'm going to put them in the pantry. I'm not going to be in there much. I'm not in the pantry much for anything. I mean, what meat is stored in the pantry? Not very much. So they can sit in there. I have enough discipline and self-control to do that, but you know, putting a big piece of chocolate cake like in our fridge so I can look at it every time like I open the door, no, that's not happening. Like, don't torture yourself like that. If there's just no need. So if there's some foods that are really hard or really bad, like for my husband, it's soda. He craves that like there's no tomorrow. And once he gives himself a little bit, I mean, it's almost like an addiction where you can't have a drop of it. You can't have a drop of alcohol. You can't have a drop of soda. And so we just don't bring soda into the house. And for the kids, I mean, that might suck. They're going to be healthier for it, but you know, they don't always like it. They want soda sometimes, and we really very rarely make an exception for them to have it because it's so hard for my husband. We just don't put it in the house. We just don't buy it, and we put a suitable alternative in place. So for me, it's chocolate cake. There's not really a suitable alternative except our little chuffins we make. I'll have some videos in the description talking about those, but those help. They're not like chocolate cake, but they do help a little bit. So trying to have alternatives. My husband keeps, you know, sparkling water and different things in the house that he can sweeten, and so it feels a little bit like soda, and it's enough to kind of curb that, but at the same time not torturing himself. All right, my 5th piece of advice is to take this diet and make it your own. It took me forever to start this diet because I was watching my husband do it for about 9 months before I started, and I thought, I can't do what you're doing. I can never do that. I cannot eat the meat the way he eats the meat. He likes it totally different prepared than I do, and I thought, I can't do that. It can look different though. It can look different for different people. You're gonna like different kinds of meat than other people will like, and so to really take this diet and make it your own is really gonna help you. It doesn't have to look an exact certain way. As long as you're staying off the carbs and staying completely on the meat, you're going to be doing carnivore, and you're going to start seeing the results from that. And so it takes a little bit of learning. When I first was doing this, I made an actual list. I wrote down everything that I knew I liked that I could consider eating on this, so that when I would have those moments of, oh my gosh, what do I eat? Which happened a lot in the beginning. I just go to that list. I just consult that list, and I'm like, okay, I can have this, I can have this, I can have this. Eventually, you don't have to do that anymore. You learn what you like. You learn how to purchase it. You get into routine. You have it on hand. It's totally easy. But at first, it was really, really helpful to do that. And I did that before I even started because I wanted to know that I could do this diet and I would have enough things to keep me full. And I really did. It was really simple. I way overthought it. I wish I had started a lot sooner. And so once I realized that, though, it was such a freeing feeling. I realized I can make this my own, and I can do this diet my way, and it can work. It can work for my husband in the way he's doing it, and it can work for me in the way that I'm going to do it. So there's a lot of, even though this is really simple, and even though it seems really restrictive because you're just eating meat, there is a lot of variety and a lot of variance that can come from this diet, and that makes it totally doable, which leads me into number 6, is to vary your meats. Vary how you prepare them, vary how much you eat, what you eat, and when you eat it. And so get a lot of different kinds. Try a lot of different kinds. It's funny, this advice comes from my husband, and it's not what he did. He loves steak, so all he eats is steak and eggs. He just eats a lot of steak. He eats some hamburgers, he eats some other things here and there, but mostly it's just steak and eggs and hamburger meat. And he loves it. But for me, it's like I would die. I would literally get sick of this and die. I would give up within a couple of days. I have to make sure I have a lot of different kinds of meat. So my days do not look all the same. I am constantly doing different things, different kinds of meat. Finding new ways to prepare them is kind of fun. We bought like an air fryer. That's really cool. Our family loves our air fryer. Maybe I should do a review on that because it's a fantastic. We air fry, but you can boil things, you can fry things, you can grill things outside, you can put things in the oven and bake them. I mean, there's so many ways to prepare your meats. So try a lot of different ways, vary it up, and truly, I don't think you'll get sick of it. I was worried that I would be getting sick of the meat, and I'm really not. I'm not getting tired of it. When you really think about how much variance do you really have in your diet anyway, I realized I was eating kind of the same handful of things anyway before I started. It might as well be these things. It might as well be the things that are going to make me lose weight and feel good. So yeah, as long as you make sure that you don't get stuck in a rut of eating the same exact thing every single day, unless it works for you and you really love it, because it might. Otherwise, try to vary it up a little bit and it'll give you better success. Which brings me to number 7, prepare ahead. And so what you're going to want to do is make sure that you have the meats that you know that you can eat on hand pretty much all the time. We only need to go to the grocery store about once a week, and I just kind of plan ahead and make sure I have everything. But it really does help to have in my mind, okay, this is what I can have. I kind of have my things in my mind that I know I need to have on hand all the time. And planning ahead really does help. So this is a really hard diet socially because nobody else is eating this way, right? And if you're going to go to a party, it's like, what do you eat? Any kind of function or get together is really hard, right? However, I watched my husband do this for the past year. He did it while we went camping. He did it while we went on vacation. He did it while we took day trips. He made it through Thanksgiving. He made it through Christmas, and now he's made it through Easter. He hasn't cheated at all, and he has made this diet work for him. Yes, it kind of puts a hamper on date nights. We can't really go out and eat all our favorite foods at our favorite restaurants, but this is just temporary. We're not doing this forever. We're doing this to lose weight, and we're okay with that. And so for right now, if we plan ahead a little bit, like for Easter, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be around good foods, but I'm going to bring these X amount of good foods that make me feel good. So I brought my sparkling water with my stevia. I brought lobster tails, which I'm really into right now. And I brought my egg muffins, my little chuffins with me. And it really, really helped. I was able to just eat my food and I really didn't feel deprived. I did not feel so bad at Easter. I did not feel sorry for myself. I didn't feel anything. I just ate my food. I moved on with my life. So if you're planning ahead, sometimes you can take it with you. Sometimes you can eat before you go. If you don't want to prepare the meat there, or you don't want to eat the meat in front of other people, or it takes too long in my instance, just eat before you go, or have a little quick something and then eat when you get back, but have it planned and know like what you're going to have. Or take it with you. You know, I brought my lobsters with me to Easter, and I made them at somebody else's house and not my own, and it was totally fine. It's really not that weird. When people start understanding what you're doing this for, either better health or losing weight or whatever, you know, the people who you really want in your life that you want to know about this diet are going to come around you and rally around you and encourage you. And so it doesn't have to be weird. It's just the phase that you're in right now. It's not a big deal. It's not embarrassing. You just let yourself have permission to eat that meat and eat the way you need to, and you totally can. You know, my husband, we went on a full trip over the summer, and he was like, okay, I just need to plan. And he had all his different foods. He had them all like refrigerated, you know, took them with him in a cooler, put them in the fridge in the hotel. He bought a whole induction burner so that he could cook the food in our hotel room. So he's frying up hamburger patties. He made that. He brought that thing everywhere. He ate carnivore at the beach. He ate it while we were camping. Camping was super easy. He could just cook his meat over the fire, like grill it over the fire. And so really when you think about it, you're preparing and you're bringing food wherever you go. I mean, when we went on our trip, you know, we brought snacks for the kids. We brought stuff for the car. When we went camping, we had to bring all of our groceries. You know, you're planning ahead anyway. So it's really not that different. You just kind of have to wrap your mind around what you're eating is going to look a little different right now while you're doing this. And otherwise it's really, really simple. Number 8 is to consider intermittent fasting. If you're having a really, really hard time with food always on your mind, always feeling like you're hungry, just not being able to get a grasp on this diet, consider intermittent fasting. I do not intermittent fast. I feel like I'm home all day and I need to eat during the day, or I get too weak, I get too sick, I feel icky. My husband works a fairly physically demanding job outside of the home, and he prefers to just not have to plan it and bring his food. So he intermittent fasts. He comes home and then he'll eat, and he'll give himself like a window of a few hours where he can eat different foods. And so when he eats really big portions, like he eats his whole meal at one time. I eat more smaller stuff throughout the day, and we're both doing this in such a way that works for us. And so I don't personally intermittent fast, but for him it really, really helps, and it really, really works because he feels like he's not having to think about food all day. When it's time to eat, you eat your food, you feel full, and then you move on, and you don't have to keep thinking about food. It makes it really, really simple. So it's a component to think about, intermittent fasting. If you're really just having trouble getting a handle on this diet, or you feel like food is just always on your mind, or you always are thinking about cheating or thinking about the foods you can't have, intermittent fasting really helps you to just have a break during the day from food, where you're just not always thinking about it constantly on your mind, staring into that fridge, wondering, what can I have? We all know that feeling, right? So it kind of just gives you a break and makes it a lot more manageable. Number 9, if you're really struggling with cravings, consider adding in organ meats. I know that's so freaky. I'm doing okay with this. There's organ meat supplements I think you can take. I'm not taking any, but I'm curious about it. We do calf liver, and we ground it up into like these meatball-like things, or you can make patties with it, and it just tastes like hamburger. It's not a big deal. It changes the flavor a little bit, I'll be honest, but it's not that big of a deal. But it really does. It adds a little something extra. It makes you feel a little bit more satiated. At least I feel like that way. And it's really, really good for you on this diet to be having some organ meats. And so you just kind of do have to like branch out a little bit and wrap your mind around, doing some things a little bit differently. I know it can be freaky. I know organ meat can be freaky for some people. I am one of those people. Meat freaks me out anyway, and I'm really particular about my meat. But I have found a way to add in and get in some organ meat that actually works for me, that I actually like, which I never thought would have been possible, but it is. And so I think if you're open-minded and you'll at least give yourself a little bit try of troubleshooting and adding some in slowly, then it's going to help you feel less cravings and just feel overall more satisfied with this diet and help you be more successful. And lastly, number 10 is probably the most important one, and that is, if life gets you and you end up cheating, don't beat yourself up over it. Seriously, just don't. It happens. It happens to all of us. This is the easiest diet that I've done that's been this restrictive, and yet I feel like cheating the least of any diet I've ever been on. I seriously would not have thought I could have gone this whole almost 2 months now and not have cheated or really stuck with it and liked it this much. I was really worried that I was going to just feel so weak and depleted and hungry and miserable, because that had been my experience. I've done a lot of starvation, diets that were just so bad for me in the past, and I thought that this was going to be that, and it's really not. It's completely different. But if you do cheat, it's not worth beating yourself up over it. I mean, sometimes it happens. I was looking at that pudding today that my daughter made, and I thought, why can't I just have one big scoop, one just big old bite, and then go back and move on? And I didn't. I would feel really disappointed in myself. I didn't need to do that. But if you do, it's not the end of the world. Just go back on it. You'll keep losing the weight. You'll keep getting healthy. It's not the end of the world if you end up cheating. Don't make a habit of it. Remember your why, remember your goals, but give yourself that grace. This is not meant to be a miserable, hard diet. It's really not. It's given me a lot of freedom. It makes me know I'm feeding my body, and it lets me know that there's a lot more enjoyment to life than just food. I know food can be a great thing socially. I know it can be a great source of enjoyment, and someday for me it will be again. It is kind of, even right now, I'm enjoying myself on this. I really am. But it is nice to have a break from food sometimes, where I can go to activities and I can go to social gatherings, and it's not about the food. It's not about the food, and that feels really, really good. So I know I talked your ear off, I hope this helped you guys. I narrowed it down as best I could. This was supposed to be five different things, and I ended up with 10. But I hope that helps you. It's definitely possible to do this. So if you're really looking into it, I would encourage you to just give it a try, not to wait. Take those tips, kind of get yourself a plan, and then just start. Just jump in and start. And pretty soon you'll be 2 months down the road and you won't even know what happened. So I wish you guys luck if you're going to be starting. Please keep checking back. I'm going to be doing a lot of different things and tips and tricks about the carnivore diet. I'm no expert, but I'm doing this, and I thought, you know, while I'm doing it, I might as well be sharing some information of what's working for me. So I hope this helped you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for following along on my weight loss journey, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
I start to sail along these ocean waves. Nobody knows how to find us. It's turning out to be a perfect day. I just wanna leave our normal lives behind us. So let's get lost out here.